everybody, and welcome to Pomeroy Art Academy's Breakfast Club. And I'm going to show you how to animate a cube. Now, this is a basic lesson about squash and stretch. So let's get started. Okay, this is something I've always wanted to do. I like creating a little squash and stretch exercise using a cube. And this would be more akin to animating something like an anthropomorphic character where it's a geometric shape that you've got to bounce around and articulate, which is kind of fun. It's a nice little challenge. So I'm going to start off with a cube coming in, and I will make sure that it has some sort of perspective. In other words, the sides are tapering to a vanishing point. It's coming in at this angle in an arc. It's going to be landing right here and leaping up and then bouncing. So the arc will continue down. This will be a drawing 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to map out my action by kind of creating my first rough extremes. It's going to come down and squash this little guy. Let's see, I would squash him. And remember, it's got to be maintaining the volume. But as he squashes, the sides will bulge out. That's the fun part. That's where you get the nice elasticity, the flexibility. It'll bow in at an angle like that. That will be drawing number, I'm going to make that number 5, because I'll create one drawing that goes in between these two. And then it's going to bounce even further and then out. So what I'll do, maintain my ground plane. The up bounce, I'm going to call that drawing 11. Because I'll probably have 2 positions in between those two. So let's see. My cube there. I want to make sure that I'm basically the same volume, as that one. Make it a little bit bigger. I like bending the sides because it creates a nice little energy and dynamic for a solid object, one that's geometric. Bending the sides just a little bit. You're almost like dragging that corner too as it advances up in an arc, which is kind of fun. Gives it a little more fluidity. Now, popping up from that down position into the up position. And then I'm going to say that this next down position, I don't know if I'll have time to take them all the way out, but it arcs down and he comes down, descends right here. This would be, I think this drawing is going to be drawing 17. Thinking that there's going to be 2 positions, 2 more drawings between this one and the land. So I'm going to squash him. The opposite of this, I'll expand it in this direction. Bulging the sides, like so. Arcing down, and then it'll go out this way if we have time. So that's my blocking for my entire action. He will enter, squash down, pop up, and then descend over here. So now what I'm going to do is create a stretch as he descends, reaching for his down position. Here's my ground plane. This will be drawing 3. And we're creating it coming down It'll be really interesting to see how this all times out too. I like to create it a stretch as he kicks. I've got to treat the corners, the bottom corners, as if they were like little feet. Reaching out. I'm reaching out with these corners. And bowing the sides just a little bit. So what's happening is this side is tipping up as he's trying to land with that far corner as a foot. That's what I'm trying to do. And I'll probably add an in-between between 1 and 3 just to see that articulation happen a little bit better. And then after that, let's see, we've got between 5 and 11. The way I would time this out is I want to spend less time on the bottom and more time at the top so I get a nice bounce, a suspension in the air and a snappy hit and then coming up real quick. So I would probably, let's see, it would be something like this. It would be halfway, drawing 7 would be halfway between 5 and 11, and then drawing 9 would be halfway between 7 and 11. Here's my ground plane. And this is a nice little challenge to see if I can get some fluidity in an otherwise hard object. So there we go. It's like he is. Now, interesting, this side right there is this right there. So what I want to do, I want to make sure that I get the correct readability. I'll have to arc him out a little bit more this way. Now he's getting thin right here because he's stretching. Let's see. Stretching up. So he's really, I may be having him stretch a little bit too much. I'm going to take that off just a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. There we go. Boing, so he's bouncing back up. So we have a real crisp little bounce there. Coming down and squashing and then bouncing right back up. So we got drawing 7, we got drawing 11. I'm going to put a drawing 9 in there. This might be something worth to put on 1s too, just to smooth out those irregular transitions between corners. There's drawing 9. So this, he's coming up. Transitioning up and starting to squash at this. He's resuming his normal shape is what it is as he's coming up. So he's recovering his normal shape as he's coming up. Get a nice snappy little bounce up. There's the side. So there's my drawing number 9. And bouncing, taking the snappy bounce, and going up and getting ready to land on 17. Now, my timing on 11 to 17 would be the reverse of what we did between 5 and 9. So I will have a halfway point, which will be 15, and in between 11 and 15 will be 13. Slowing out of that up position is the idea. So this is going to be 15. It's arcing around and down. Now here he is, my cube is reaching and stretching. I think I'm going to have him stretching with one particular corner. This corner right here that's facing us, that's going to go down first. That's almost like a little toe reaching for a landing. And we can see the sides caving in slightly at this angle. As that cube is reaching down, stretching, and then he's going to squash. So there's drawing 15. We will now add drawing 13. Ground plane. Drawing 13. We're seeing that rotation starting to happen here. And he's starting to stretch that one point right there in anticipation for the land. We're beginning to see just a little sliver of the top edge. Of the cube as it arcs over, getting ready to descend. And there's our complete arc. So the lifting up, arcing across, and then coming down, setting that foot down this corner. I am going to take a little bit off of this cube here because, you know, the challenge is doing something like this really helps you understand proportions and volumes. Because we don't normally move cubes, we move heads and arms and character parts. But this is a nice little exercise to keep us informed and on top of our game as far as maintaining volumes. And then what we'll probably do is I would add a drawing, probably calling it 19, of it bouncing out. It would be much like position number 7. I would do another version of that. Let's see. Stretching the little cube. So I will refine that a little bit and then shoot this, and then we will take a look and see what this looks like.